Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Hotseat, a wireless design and development interview series where we talk about the latest wireless technologies, components, and design issues for the wireless design engineering community. Today we are speaking with Brad Gilbert, who is the Senior Product Manager of Licensed and Ethernet Radios at FreeWave Technologies. Brad has more than 20 years of experience in product, project, and engineering management with diverse and fast-paced companies developing wireless M2M communication solutions. Prior to joining FreeWave, he served in several management functions at Silver Spring Networks, including the roles of Senior Director of Product Management and Senior Director of NIC and Meter Strategy, where he developed and launched numerous wireless smart grid products. Brad earned a bachelor's in electrical engineering from the University of Colorado Boulder and holds several U.S. patents for his innovations across various utility network interface devices, antennas, and information processing from sensor networks. Today, Brad will be discussing the new WavePoint platform from FreeWave. Welcome, Brad. What are the latest advancements in wireless M2M communications, and what is driving these innovations? So, for example, is it customers, competitors, other technologies?
I really think it's the other technologies. A lot of the technologies, the price is coming down, and as the price comes down across this broad range of technologies, and I put them in basically five categories, maybe four categories, that enables a lot of the M2M applications and the advancements that we're seeing and the drivers in the M2M space. So if I'm talking about the drivers, that is the low-cost sensors that are coming out, that are proliferating, the ability to run communications farther and faster. That's key to moving sensor data. The ability to store endless amounts of data at very low cost, the ability to process that data is also critical. Now you have the ability to collect, transport, store, and process that data and incorporate it into a business process that allows value to be driven from those sensors and across that M2M network that wasn't available previously. And that's huge. That's huge because you can now bring value from a broader range of devices. An example, in a older M2M network, you'd generally be looking at controlling a device, turning a device on or off based on whether or not a reservoir or tank is full. So if it's full, send out a command to shut it off. If it's empty and needs filled, turn it on. That's very low data, very simple sensor, very simple processing. So now if we now look at that today and we say, what does that really look like? The spectrum of sensors has increased. So now we're looking at how full is that tank? How much time do I need to take to fill that tank? Do I want to run my pump at full speed? What is the heat of my pump? What are my ball bearings doing in that pump? What is the pressure on that line going into the reservoir? What is the pressure out? These type of sensors and this type of information is being collected across a broad range of markets and applications. And that information is valuable. And the reason why it's valuable is because now you can do not only process control, but you can understand how the process is working for you so that you can bring efficiencies into that process, such as proactive maintenance of the pump. If it's running hot, slow it down. If it's running cool, you can speed it up. If the tank is approaching full and you want to shut it off, that's good too. Or you can leave it running at a lower rate. By having this information, you can bring in information from other systems, such as the utility. If you're being asked by a utility to do energy curtailment, now you can run, again, that pump slower or faster based on what your requirements are. So again, having the ability to collect information very cheaply, transport it, store it, and process it to integrate it into the overall application and the M2M solution vital. And that's what's really driving the overall changes in the M2M space.
And what is the new WavePoint platform from FreeWave, and how does it make a shift in wireless communications and networking technology?
WavePoint is a platform solution to a broad range of M2M challenges that have been in front of FreeWave for 20 years. WavePoint brings in the ability to install multiple radio modules or multiple wireless modules into a single platform. The benefit there is now you can have back-to-back repeater operations without having to have multiple units. You can now have frequency diversity, and by that I mean your back-to-back or your high-speed communications capability can run on one frequency. Your local communications can run on another frequency. Your Wi-Fi communications can be on another frequency, and these frequencies are independent of each other. So you can now maintain full utilization of each of those different frequencies for the application that's intended. For example, if you're running a 5 gigahertz backhaul link, that link has in WavePoint up to 200 megabits per second available for backhaul. That can span your entire network and not be impacted by local communications or Wi-Fi communications, unless those communications are designed to go back to the back office. That is fundamental. That's key to WavePoint. Being able to support multiple modules and also being able to support multiple frequencies so that you can partition your M2M application according to what's necessary. Another powerful element of WavePoint is its ability to have layer 3 and layer 2 routing capabilities on the wired side. And that really allows you to use WavePoint across the entire network, your entire M2M network. As you exit the enterprise network and extend your M2M network out to the field or out to the service area that you're providing, now WavePoint, because of its layer 3 capabilities, can support firewall, subnetting, VLANs, and really bring a lot of security features to that edge device and allow that data to be moving across the wireless networks into the field and other areas.
Can you provide us with an example of how this solution changes the way organizations deploy production networks?
Yeah, one example, and it goes. I have a couple examples. First example I'll talk about is the need to support high-speed backhaul, and then at your points drop down to support local communications. So if you're building out a M2M network, you're going to want to have aggregation points, and between those aggregation points, you're going to want to have high-speed communication. So in WavePoint, because it supports multiple wireless modules, you can put in a 5.8 module or a 2.4 module and create that high-speed, very robust, reliable backhaul capability, running at, again, up to about 200 megabits per second, depending on how you architect it. At each of those aggregation points that can be also used as the repeater sites, you can now drop down onto, say, a 900 megahertz frequency and reach out using an omnidirectional antenna and have a point-to-multipoint network so that you can go out and touch your end devices or your sensors in the field, whether it's oil and gas production or agriculture. You can have a service area of several miles and allow that information to be managed on a separate frequency, a separate subnet frequency or a separate network. And that information now can be rolled up into the backhaul and moved to the back office or into the NOC. Very powerful. The other element that we do support is the ability to run high-speed Wi-Fi at each of the nodes too. So your field personnel can come out to the field and be connected to the office, be connected to the enterprise, and be able to solve the problems that are in front of them because they have connectivity. They can get into the database, get into the repository of information, Skype a colleague to get the information so they can solve that problem the first time, as opposed to having to get on their cell phone, having to use some other form of technology, and possibly having to make a return visit to those sites because they can't solve the problem the first time. Again, security is a critical element to any network and becoming more and more critical to M2M networks because of the threat of invasion or hijacking. And WavePoint has taken that on by, again, integrating a firewall into the product, as well as VLANs, SSH, SSL, a number of secure shell and secure communication services as part of the standard IP services that are available.
Does this particular platform have any limitations, and if so, can you name them?
I can give you a couple of examples. The first answer is yes. Any product that's going to be delivered is going to have some limitations. It's inherent in the focus of the product and the challenges that a product is trying to solve. Where in WavePoint, we've currently addressed the ISM bands. So we support 3 ISM bands, the 900, 2.4, and 5 gig ISM bands. So you have that capability, but we understand our customers, because of our 20 years of experience in the M2M space, need more than just the ISM bands. They're looking for communications in public safety. They're looking for narrowband communications so that they can go longer distances than some of the other frequencies or services can do. So we'll be adding those services, or those frequencies, as the product continues to develop over the coming years.
And then how does this particular technology compare to similar products that are on the market?
There's a lot of communication products out there. We're in a very rich field for competitors, and what WavePoint is bringing to, and what FreeWave is bringing to the M2M space, is a platform or a product that solves a broad range of communication issues seen in every network. And some of these are, we have to be able to wire into devices. So WavePoint provides, again, secure Ethernet and IP communications, but it also allows for RS-232 serial communications, RS-232 and 485 communications. So if you're out there and you're interfacing to a controller or an RTU that's a little older, you now can interface again to that device and use the same network, same platform, without having to use additional. Because we do have multiple Ethernet ports, you can get rid of a switch that might be necessary to integrate the backhaul communications and the local communications. So we've taken what we see as the challenge for M2M solutions and created a package and a product that puts all this into one unit, as opposed to having 4 or 5 units to solve the backhaul communications with a couple radios, the local communications with another radio, the Wi-Fi with another radio, throwing in a switch so you can have wired communications, throwing in a terminal server connected to the switch so that you can have the RS-232. This is all what WavePoint brings to the M10 space.
Well, those were all the questions that I had for you today, Brad. Is there anything else that you think is important for our viewers to know about the Wave platform or what they can expect to see from FreeWave in the future?
Because of the ability of WavePoint to have high-speed point-to-point communications, one of the markets that we're looking at with WavePoint is their wire replacement of T1 or DS3 lines, and this is a very opportunity-rich market for FreeWave because the cost of maintaining and operating, the monthly cost of maintaining and operating both T1 and DS3 lines, which run from several $100s to several $1,000s per month, depending on how long that link is. For example, if you take a WavePoint unit out there and create a point-to-point link between your facility, your primary facility and your secondary facility, and have that RF communications running at data rates that we've seen north of 50 megabits per second, useful TCP data across that air link. This is now a competitive solution to DS3 lines, or 40 times better than what a T1 line is, and your ROI on the use of WavePoint or wireless communications as a wire replacement is very quick. Generally, depending on what additional infrastructure is necessary, as well around towers, antennas, it can be within 8 to 12 months.
I would like to thank you, Brad, for joining us on today's episode. For WDD, I'm Megan Zimba, and I'll see you next time in the hot seat.